eBay scams are the topic for today once again, and I want to bring it to your attention so you guys can avoid being ripped off. This is an important one because I've had like 3 or 4 people in the last 2 days reach out with a number of screenshots and a number of these listings that fit the criteria of a scam, and it just seems like it's becoming a little bit more pervasive. Yes, these things have been around and popped up on eBay for a long time, but given that I had so many people independently reach out with different listings, it makes me a little bit concerned. It means I want to talk about it today. And it does in fact relate to Razz's raffles on eBay for the chance to get a certain card. So you can see here, this one from Football Cards 19456, they've basically got 3 listings that say you've got a chance to get a 1 of 1. You've got the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and then a Victor Wembanyama over here. And straight off the bat, these go against eBay's terms of use, their policy when it comes to raffles, and I'll get to that in a second. But for the most part, you see these things pop up, and 99% of the time, they're going to be scams. Yes, there might be some people doing them the right way, but the reason why they're scams is because the sellers, number one, are going against eBay's policy, and then number two, the description behind the break itself, behind the raffle, is quite vague. They're not giving you the context you need, and you sort of need to be careful because, like I said, this stuff pops on. It's very affordable, $6. People fall into it, they buy it, and then the seller basically disappears. You might not get your money back. Now, eBay's quite good at doing, money back guarantees and refunds and all that sort of stuff for buyers, but it's still not a chance I'd like to personally risk myself. Now, here's another one of a Trae Young. You can sort of see over here, it's $6 again, chance to win 21, 22 Trae Young True Gold card. I think when we've seen this in the past, it's typically via people that have hacked other eBay accounts and they're selling the spots that way. But again, just an interesting one to keep front of mind. You can sort of see over here, one of the pain points is they don't disclose how many spots there are. There's basically more than 10 available. You basically got 10 sold. Then in the description is sort of where the rest of the issue comes because they don't disclose how many spots they are. They don't disclose, what the, other items are going to be that you get as part of this, because you'll see they'll say as one person will get the Trae Young, all the others will receive 6 cards from different years. So basically they're trying to get around eBay's policy, and I'll bring that eBay policy up in a sec, but this one is from Always Buy Here for Less. As a reminder, this one is from Football Cards 19456. These are the listings from Football Cards. The username, it's only a new user, so again, it's pretty evident that it is a scam. When you try and click on them, eBay's basically already nuked them because they have gone against terms of service, but as you can sort of see, this one still exists, and it is from a fairly large, eBay account. Now, for those of you asking the question, what's the big deal? Box breaks are allowed on eBay, raffles can go on eBay. That's fair, but their policy is pretty black and white, and they also only allow pre-approved sellers to do that in the first place. We covered that many months ago when they introduced this policy because a lot of breakers ended up losing revenue streams and all that kind of thing because eBay basically shut the books on them. And we spoke about at the time how it was a wake-up call to breakers that their industry could be like destroyed overnight, right? All of a sudden you've got eBay saying, we don't want your business anymore. You're a breaker, that's your main revenue stream, eBay perhaps. All of a sudden that's gone. Therefore, your business is basically shit out of luck. And without going back into too much detail on that topic, you could see here that their policy basically says case breaks, box breaks, and pack breaks may only be sold by pre-approved sellers. Chances are those sellers are not pre-approved, and it has to be under the following conditions. There's no element of chance involved to determine what the buyer will receive. And basically, these in the title say there is a chance, because what they're essentially saying here is that you sort of have to be buying into a break and going to get something, right? There's no chance element involved in what it is you're going to get. Now, I probably worded that really poorly, but what I mean by that is you can't have a raffle for a chance to get something. So let's say there's 10 spots to get into a box break and you buy into that, and then the winner of those 10 spots gets into the box break that then has a chance to get something else. I'm pretty sure that's what it means by this wording. And the reason why I say that is because obviously there are a number of box breaks on eBay that allow you to pick your player and pick your team and all that kind of thing, which sort of has a chance element on what it is you're getting back, but at least, you're getting that specific player. So if that specific player comes up, then you've got what you've paid for. But, in other situations where they make it vague about what you're getting, you're basically buying into something and they're going to determine what you get, right? That's where, eBay's policy is trying to push against. And then also this piece here, buyers receive the entire pack, box, or case they purchase. So they have to, give you everything. And obviously this policy is a bit, vague, and it doesn't maybe go into too much detail on certain things as to what is grey and what is not grey. But the key thing here is basically being a pre-approved seller, which, what is talked about here, you actually have to apply for this, is my understanding. You can't just, meet or, certain criteria and automatically get approved. Now, some people, can correct me if I'm wrong, even though it does say pre-approval here. I recall at the time, like we mentioned in the past, where lots of breakers basically, had their, revenue streams cut off overnight because they didn't meet certain criteria. So, it's an important one. It is what it is. I think we just need to keep, stuff like this front of mind, because whilst it does say that you're going to get the Trae Young and that might meet the criteria of the chance of what you're getting, but if there's 10 spots, 9 of the people aren't going to get this card, and they're not going to get anything that they purchased or specifically acquired for, because these cards also down here are not, explicitly stated. So again, the meaning of the policy thing is quite vague. Maybe you can argue that this meets the policy, but given the fact they're not disclosing how many spots there are or anything like that, is not one that makes me feel very confident. And this stuff is pretty clearly a scam, especially given the fact that eBay has already nuked all these ones because clearly they thought these were, scammy or suspicious in some capacity. So, like I always say, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I just think this is one that we need to be keeping front of mind, because people fall for this stuff all the time, and you might think, well, it's only $5 or $6. eBay have a very strong money back guarantee for buyers, so I'm protected. That might be all well and good, but it's not a risk I want to take, right? Just on the chance that something doesn't go right. And it's one of those things, like I've said before as well, you might think this is fine and it's just a bit of fun, but we sort of need to be protecting people a little bit better and making sure that stuff like this doesn't keep happening within the hobby. And my recommendation would be, when you see stuff like this, report it to eBay. And that might sound like we are hall monitors and we're like teachers' pets and all that kind of thing, but I think we have an obligation in this hobby to sort of protect the naive, and I think the naive might fall for this. And again, some people will say, well, we've seen this stuff pop up on eBay for a long time now. Why are you making a big deal about this? Like I opened the video with, I've had 3 or 4 people reach out in the last 2 days in particular with multiple listings, all unique to each other, all different listings. And the fact that I've probably seen it come to me in that volume tells me that we're seeing an uptick in these things be listed on eBay. So just one of those things that we need, like I said, always keep front of mind, be wary of, spread the word when you see this stuff pop up, let people know, let people sort of avoid being scammed. And again, even though eBay have a strong policy, we still need to avoid this sort of stuff from happening. It's frustrating now, the lengths that people will go to in order to sort of take advantage of people, because like I said, they're not disclosing how many spots there are, they're not disclosing whether or not the raffle is going to happen live, they're not disclosing whether or not they're going to use random.org as an example. There's all these question marks about the process that we go back to all the time when we talk about breakers and Razzes and raffles. There's easy ways to do things the right way, and so many of them don't do it, right? The barrier to entry to become a breaker is really easy. All you need is a camera and a box of cards, and those guys that do it the wrong way can take advantage of people really easy, right? Because they don't do things the right way. And if you are a breaker that wants to do things the right way, you have a really good opportunity here to sort of show people how it's done, and you can sort of set standards and all that kind of thing. So we do see that with the good breakers, but it's just frustrating that, so many people are sort of turning to scammy behavior like this. Now, these guys are clearly not breakers, right? And I don't want to lump them in with breakers, but the logic still stands in terms of the barrier to entry, and they're sort of trying to piggyback off the whole breaking mindset right now by, running these kinds of scams on eBay. So, maybe I'm off base with this. Let me know your thoughts down below. I just thought it was a, worthy one to flag so we can try and help the naive. But, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.